Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Tom Sherry.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. We begin with breaking news this afternoon. We are learning more details tonight about the driver who crashed through that Dutch Brothers coffee stand last Friday.
Newly filed court documents show that McGavin Madrain admitted to a Washington state trooper that he used meth the night before the crash. Now, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 50% of meth can remain in your system 12 hours after use. Madrain is in Spokane County Jail for a vehicular assault charge with a $250,000 bond. KREM 2 had also learned that Madrain has a criminal history, including 4 felonies. Those include drugs, reckless driving, and 10 misdemeanors. One of the Dutch Brothers baristas who broke her hip during the crash spoke with KREM 2's Amanda Rowley today. She is back home recovering today after 2 days in the hospital. We'll have more from her at 6 o'clock tonight. We'll share what happened to her that day.
In other news, COVID hospitalizations continue to rise, and today Kootenai Health tied its all-time high for the greatest number of COVID patients. Tonight, 91 patients are in the hospital just at Kootenai Health with COVID-19. Hospital officials say 97% of those patients are not vaccinated. KREM 2's Casey Decker is joining us now with a look at some of the latest data out of the Panhandle. Casey?
Yeah, Whitney, of those 91, I believe 34 are in critical care. So some scary numbers coming out of that hospital. And that's just the data for one particular hospital. If we take a look at the chart of hospitalizations over time in all of Panhandle, we can see that things are getting pretty bad right now. Remember, we had initially some of those early spikes in the early pandemic, and then that big spike last winter. That's when we peaked originally. The previous record for number of hospitalizations in all of the Panhandle was 95 at one time. Now you just heard 91 is the current number of people hospitalized just at one hospital, at Kootenai Health. And now that record has been shattered. We're up to 118 on this Sunday. This chart isn't quite updated to today, but we can bet that it's going to be up here again. And also just look at the speed of this particular curve. We saw obviously that big spike over last winter, but it looked relatively gradual compared to the spike we're currently seeing right now. And that really just goes to show you just how transmissible this Delta variant is. All right, let's also take a look now at numbers for deaths, because that's a number that obviously we care about a lot. And there is some good news here. You can see right now the record over the last month or so was 4 deaths. We had not seen, though, 4 deaths since about January, but still half of the all-time record for number of deaths on a day, which was 8 back during that January spike. So clearly, medical professionals doing a good job of keeping people alive right now. But still, those hospitalization numbers are concerning, not just because of the potential for deaths, but because of they're filling up number of beds, and they make it harder for other emergency procedures to be carried out. So some scary numbers coming out of North Idaho right now with this Delta variant. Whitney, Tom?
All right, Casey, thank you very much for the update. In the meantime, the Grant County Health District is now reporting 12 more people have died from the coronavirus just in the last 24 hours. We're told most of them did have underlying health conditions. This now brings the total Grant County COVID death toll to 146. And with COVID cases spiking locally and across the country, some entertainment venues have now put additional restrictions in place. And one of those venues here locally is the Riverfront Park Pavilion. AEG Presents, which is the company that sells tickets for those pavilion concerts, sent an email to ticket holders just yesterday with changes to its COVID-19 policies. So starting with this Saturday's Counting Crows concert, all people entering the pavilion must show proof of full vaccination or a negative COVID test from the last 72 hours.
And starting October 1st, the option to show a negative COVID-19 test will be dropped, meaning concert goers must show full proof of vaccination to attend. The company also says this may come earlier if some venues if some local governments decide to put in vaccination requirements ahead of October 1st. Now you can bring your vaccination card itself or a digital copy such as a picture. Now, coming up on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight, we'll have more about this change and what to expect at other local entertainment venues here in Spokane.
And as always, we know that this is a lot of information. It changes almost by the day. So for the latest on the local COVID numbers and the vaccine requirements as of right now, just text COVID to 509-448-2000. We want to switch gears, take a break from the headlines, and talk about weather. It turned out to be a really beautiful. This is what we love.
I think everybody was waiting for this when we had the incredibly hot June and July and then the smoky August. It is just about perfect out there right now. We call this Goldilocks weather. Not too hot, not too cold. 75 degrees, the winds are calm, air quality is looking pretty good right now. Satellite and radar picture not showing you any cloud cover across the region. We'll look for mild temperatures early on this evening, and then we'll look for an overnight low of about 50 degrees. Tomorrow will start out partly cloudy, becoming mostly cloudy by the afternoon, but still warm. Shoot for a daytime high on Wednesday of 80 degrees. Looking ahead to the weekend, still looks great. 78 on your Saturday and 84 on Sunday. The rest of your 7-day forecast is just minutes away.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. The U.S. is scrambling to get tens of thousands more Americans and Afghan allies out of Afghanistan by the end of this month. Now, President Biden is providing new details on the plans to evacuate U.S. troops from the country. President Biden says he is aiming to stick to that August 31st deadline to evacuate. And that announcement came shortly after holding a virtual meeting with G7 allies who are concerned about the deteriorating situation in that region. The Pentagon says evacuations have been picking up speed, but there are still tens of thousands of Americans and allies to be withdrawn.
We believe that we have that we have the ability to get that done by the end of the month.
Now, according to a White House official, President Biden has drawn up contingency plans in case the deadline is not met and is relying on cooperation from the Taliban. The Taliban, though, has already signaled failure to meet the deadline could be a red line and has barred Afghan citizens from leaving the country. With that deadline now just 1 week away, the U.S. has deployed additional helicopters and troops in select spots in Kabul to rescue stranded Americans and Afghan allies. The Pentagon says one flight is leaving out of Kabul about every 45 minutes.
Well, a new middle school is set to replace a South Hill dog park. Next, what you need to know before community members and the city hold a meeting to voice their opinion on the project. We'll tell you next.
Climbing the ladder to clean out clogged gutters in the summer heat. Don't let those dizzying